Hey everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Cyber Caffeine Chats, where we're taking a complex topic and breaking it down into smaller, easy to understand chunks. Well, if you zoom in over there, you can see the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's a famous landmark from afar, but if we go in close, there's plenty of lanes of fast-moving traffic, with the situation changing all the time. It's just the same in cybersecurity. There's danger of attack at every turn, and we need to make sure that we prepare ourselves for the ever-evolving landscape so that we can continue to always keep safe. So, without further ado, let's dive in and meet today's special guest. Hello MD, and welcome to Cyber Caffeine Chats.
Hi Phil, thanks for having me.
Anytime, mate. Could you introduce yourself to the audience and give us a fun fact about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone, my name is Mahendra Dita. People call me MD. Definitely not the managing director, but makes it easier for conversations.
Yeah.
I've been with Trend for 11 years now, and been in the security industry for all my career. And security is something I'm really passionate about.
Me too. And what about that fun fact?
Oh yeah, fun fact. So I actually ran ultramarathon once with a zero preparation. So for those who don't know what ultramarathon is, it's basically running across the mountains, and it's the one that I did was 50-kilometer distance. So it's definitely harder runs that I have done, and it's definitely not easy.
Sounds pretty hard, but you're still alive, you survived, so
yeah, I
congrats.
barely survived. Thank you.
Alright, so just as a reminder, we're covering off a Gartner concept called CSMA, or Cybersecurity Mesh Architecture, in this series. Previously, we looked at some of the trends in the industry, as well as some of the cybersecurity tools that we can start to consolidate into a single place. And today, I want to look at, once we've brought that data and telemetry into that single place, what can we do with it? How can we analyze it? How can we apply some intelligence to that? Really an acronym or a buzzword that comes to my mind thinking about this is XDR. Could you explain what is XDR indeed?
Sure, Phil. So XDR is generally referred to as cross-layer detection response. So sometimes also people refer to it as extended detection response. So the idea about XDR is to collect the telemetries, collect the data across multiple attack surfaces. So multiple attack surfaces like endpoints, your email, network, cloud, or identity, for example. The idea really here is to collect all this data and dump it into a data lake. And so if you have an incident, perhaps, you could then investigate using those multiple sources of data in one place.
Tie the picture together.
Yeah, it gives you a bigger picture, if you may, right? So how the threat got in and how they moved laterally to other areas in your environment, for example. So that's what the XDR really is.
So great to get that full visibility of the attack, and should we need to respond to it, we've got those tools in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what about if we've got limited teams, limited resources, maybe we want to get a bit ahead of the curve when it comes to this and be a bit more proactive?
Yeah.
Is there something else that we could use?
Yeah, absolutely. So think about XDR is like a proactive in nature, for example, because something happened, it will collect it, and we have some detection models to detect it and all that. For continuous monitoring, continuously being on top of things, I think attack surface risk management, or ASRM, makes more sense. So attack surface risk management is a proactive in nature, if you may, right? So it gives you a way of looking at the risk that you may have, or likelihood of the attack in your attack surfaces that we already talked about, like your endpoint, your email, your network, and all that. So it gives you a way of looking at proactively looking at the risk you may have in your different attack surfaces.
So it's also about, have I been attacked, but could I have some risk that could lead to an attack if I don't get on top of it and start to address things like exposure, things like threats for things like misconfiguration,
unbanned systems, unmanaged devices, for example.
All that good stuff, right? And then I guess the other thing that's important is the impact. So it's one thing if a domain controller gets popped versus a kiosk machine, right? Could be a different story that plays out.
Absolutely. So if you look at the blast radius in general, so In an example, the kiosk would have very limited blast radius, I hope, right? If you compare that to Active Directory, for example, Active Directory will have a bigger impact in general compared to those kiosk systems. So what the ASRM can also give you is a blast radius. So blast radius is a way of looking at what's the impact if this was to compromise, for example.
Relationships between the asset, identities, connections, things like that. So that's great. And then the final concept really is around intelligence, or threat intelligence specifically. Let's say I'm a bank in Australia. Wouldn't it be good to know like who wants to attack me, right, or who's attacking my peers?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to have a data available for you to do proactive and reactive detections or visualization, perhaps. Having access to the actionable intelligence is always going to be powerful, right? So, talked about the financial institution, for example. For you would want to know who's attacking similar organizations, right? And what are the tools they're using to attack those industries, and what tools and tactics they use to attack those industries. So if you have those kind of intelligence, then you can starting to build a security around it, for example, so you can better prepare yourself from ever being attacked.
So yeah, we see examples of these tactics, techniques, procedures, IOCs, CVEs in our environment. We can then understand the situation and do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think out of these three things, whether it's detection response with XDR, being able to proactively manage our risk across our attack surfaces, and having good threat intel, it's a pretty powerful thing to have in a single platform, right?
Absolutely. That's what Trend Micro is working for the last couple of years, and have introduced a platform called Vision One. Should we have a look?
Sure. Okay, so let's take a look firstly at that concept of XDR, or extended detection and response, across our attack surfaces. We've got a bunch of different alerts and incidents that have been identified here. Let's dive into one of them and take a bit of a deeper look. We can start to see some highlights and a graphical representation of what happened in this particular attack. And you can see we can correlate things across attack surfaces, whether it's identity, the endpoint, web, or network, as an example. Now, should we want to dive in and respond to this attack, we can quickly run something like isolating an endpoint, or maybe quarantining the email. It depends contextual based on what it actually is, but it's quite easy for us to go and jump in and do that quickly. Now, what about if we want to have a bit more of a risk-based view? So we could look at this particular asset, this workstation in question, and we can get a quick risk assessment of what's going on with this device. And we can start to see, right, well, it's got a risk level of 66 out of 100. What are the individual factors that have been contributing towards that risk, whether it's across configuration, exposure, attack, or behavior, as an example? And again, are those low, medium, or high risk level events? Now, what we can also do is look at the blast radius. If this particular device got attacked, what would be the impact to the organization? What are the other machines, the other administrators, as an example, that are connected and have relationships to this device? Gives us a bit of a better understanding of what the impact would be here. And if we want to take more of a high-level executive view rather than a specific asset, we can do that as well. So look at how is our risk trending over time, what are the different factors that are contributing towards that change in risk, and again, how is that broken down across our individual attack surfaces, should we want to dive in further. Now, finally, let's take a look at that threat intelligence. So if we go into the Threat Insights app here, at Vision 1, we can see all the different emerging threats and threat actors that we're aware of. And maybe we want to filter in on Australia. Let's have a look at all the different threats that are targeting Australia at the moment. Well, we've got a few different things to consider here. Let's dive in and have a look at this one around APT40. We can start to get some more information around what are the targeted industries, what's the motivation behind this threat, a bit of an overview, some risk management guidance and threat hunting queries that we might want to run. Then we can start to see what are the individual TTPs, tools that are in use, things like CVEs with this particular threat, should we want to go and look for those within our environment. And finally, most importantly, we can see, have we found evidence of this in our environment across our assets? So hopefully you can see together these three capabilities are really powerful to keep within a single cybersecurity platform such as Vision One. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody, and hopefully enjoy that.
See you all on next episode of Cyber Caffeine Chats. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.